Welcome back to Namaste Node.js Season 2 and we are building Dev Tinder. Now, in the previous video, we have seen a lot of things, right? We saw a lot of things about routing. We saw that how can you handle dynamic routes. Remember, I told you that how can you handle get, post, patch and delete API calls? I also told you that what happens if your route contains route parameters or query parameters. We have seen a lot of amazing things, isn't it? We have also seen that, okay, how can you handle these dynamic routes? We have seen a lot of things, isn't it? So, and in this video, we are going to talk a lot more about routing and middlewares. So these are the two very important concepts, route handlers and middlewares. We are going to dive deep into these concepts. Okay. So watch this video very carefully, and whatever examples I will give, please practice in your system and it will be very helpful for your fundamental groundbreaking knowledge. Okay. So let's just get started. Okay. So to teach you route handlers and middlewares, I will start everything from scratch. Okay. I will teach you everything from scratch. Let me delete everything, right? Not exactly from scratch. Basically, this you already know, right? I have created an Express application and I am listening on port number 7777. Now, but I have not handling any routes as of now. Let us handle some route. Okay. So let's create a route. What we already know is if I write app.use, right? And over here, I give any route /user. So now I can just handle this route with a route handler. You know that already, isn't it? You know that this is what it is known as. This function is known as route handler. Route handler. Got it? So this function is known as route handler. What we have seen is this, if you use app.use, then it can handle any type of method, whether it is a get request to this route, whether it is a post request to /user, whether this is a delete request to /user, all of those requests will be handled by this request handler. Isn't it? This is what happens, right? What we used to do, response.send, sorry, res, right? Response.send. And where does this response object comes from? This is the argument. This is the parameters over here, request, response object. And over here, if I do response.send, and then I can say, okay, route handler 1, right? This is the route handler 1. Okay, if I send this request and if I save this file, go back, make an API call to /user. So what will happen? This is printing route handler 1. Got it? So this is how you handle this route for /user. But if you use a .get, then you can handle the get request, right? If you do .post, you can handle the post request. Similarly, if you do get .delete, you can handle all these delete. And if you do app.use, you can handle any type of method, right? This is what we have learned. Now, let us just move ahead with our understanding. This was just a small recap. Now, let us just move ahead with the understanding. And let me tell you, my dear friends, let me show you an amazing thing first of all, okay? What if we did not send any response? Right? What if I did not send any res.send, right? I did not do that, right? I have just commented out things. I have just kept the empty route handler. Let me just save it. What will happen now? What will be returned from the API call? If somebody is hitting this route /user, what will happen now? Can you answer me? Right? What will happen? Right? You should be curious about all these things. I'm curious about all these things. Okay. So let us just see what will happen, and you will be amazed to see as soon as I hit the send button over here, and it is just sending requests, sending, and it just goes to the infinite loop because we are not sending any response from the server. So my postman is making an API call to user and I'm not getting any response back. Why? Because a server is not doing anything about it. It has just taken that request and it has not sent anything. The request is just hanging around. What will happen is when you will make such API call from browser, after some point of time, there will be a timeout hit. And then after that timeout, this request will be timed out and nothing will be responded from the server. Let me just cancel it for now because nothing is going to be responded from the server because we are not handling this request over here. We are not handling this request over here. Okay, so now you can say that Akshay, this is happening because we have not written any line inside it. So okay, so let me just write console.log, and I should say, okay, handling the route user. What will happen now? What will happen now? Will this API send some result back? Tell me. What do you think will happen now? Again confused? Let us make a request. And again it has gone to loop. And what has happened of that console log? This console log was printed onto the server. That means this request from Postman came to the server. It went inside this route handler. It printed the log on the console, and then it did not do anything. It is just lost. It is just hanging there. Right? We do not want to do this. We have to send the response back. So if we don't send the response back, if we don't send the response back, it will just be hanging around, right? If I send the response back and if I hit enter, so see this, the response came in, and over here the console log is also printed. Got it? So this is the response handler, right? This is the request handler, route handler. Okay, so this is one route handler. But let me tell you one amazing thing, that one route can also have multiple route handlers. One route can also have multiple route handlers. Okay, so let me show you what is the signature of it. See, what is this route handler doing? This app.use, the first argument over here is route. The second one is route handler. There can be multiple route handlers. So what I am saying, there can be a third argument, and this can again be another route handler, right? This can be another route handler 2. Got it? So what I am trying to say is, this app.use function, the first is the route, second is the route handler, then can be multiple route handler. This can also be a function. This can also accept the third function over here. Right? What if I do the same thing from here, right? What if I do the same thing from here? I say handling route user 2, okay? And over here I can say second response. Okay, this is the response, this is the second response. What do you think will happen? What do you think will happen in this case? Okay, let me just remove these comments, and so that the code is clear to you, right? And over here also you can take request, comma response, okay? So this is request object, this is response object. These are almost identical. These are almost identical. You can see there is a response which is sending response, and it is sending the second response. What will happen, my dear friends, if I hit user now? Will it send response? What will it get? The output will be response, or the API will return second response, or will it return both? What will happen? Tell me. Think about it, right? Think about it for a moment, my dear students, right? Interesting, right? What will happen? First of all, a lot of people would be confused that, oh my God, why is this a thing? Why can we have multiple route handler, this, that? You will understand everything. In this video, I will explain you everything. I am just going slow, and I am developing curiosity inside your head. I can tell you all of the things right away, very soon, very fast. I can teach you very fast, but I am trying to generate questions in your head, right? So that you understand it very deeply, right? Because if you will understand, if you will listen to me very carefully, this concept will sit in your head very amazingly. Okay, so please listen to me very carefully and think about it, right? When I say that, pause the video and think what should be the response over here. What should be the response over here if I hit send? Let me just show it to you. If I hit send, it will give me response. That is the first one. This is the first response. Why? Now, how this code works, let me just explain it to you. As soon as, we are running this app over here. Now, as soon as we hit this API/user, the request comes over here. It goes to the first route handler. And if my first route handler, and then it executes this function line by line, right? Because at the end of the day, what is it? This is Node.js code. Do you remember? This code is running where? Inside a V8 engine. How does V8 engine executes the code? It executes the code line by line because JavaScript is a synchronous single-threaded language. Got it? So this is how it works. So now, as soon as the route/user is the request is coming to this route, it goes to the first route handler. Now the first route handler will print the console log over here. Now the console log will be printed, right? Handling the route user. This was printed. And after that, res.send. As soon as you do response.send, it will just send back the response from this point itself and it will not go any further. Now let me ask you an interesting question. What if this response for .send was not over here? Can you think what will happen now? Can you think, my dear friends, you're smart enough. Can you think what will happen now? A request to /user will come. It will go over here. And now we are not returning the response from here. So what will happen now? Can you guess, my dear friends? What will happen now? What is your answer? Will it go to the second route handler? Will it go to the second route handler? Right? Do you think that response.send second response will be printed? Isn't it? Right? We will be printing second response over here. Shall I save the file over here? Shall I run this code? Do you want to see what will happen? Let me send it, and are we expecting to see second response over there? Let us send it and you will see nothing. This is what it is. Were you thinking that it will go to second response? Were you thinking that? Right? A lot of students feel that, okay, whenever I teach Node.js, they feel that, okay, now we are not sending response from here, so it should go to the next route handler. But, Node.js does not automatically does that, or let me call it as Express does not automatically does that, right? You do not, right? Suppose if you are not sending anything from the route handler, your response will hang. Your request will hang and it will not send back any response, right? But how will it then go to the next response handler, right? Suppose if I am not handling the route over here, how I am not sending the response from here, it should go to the second route handler, isn't it? How will it go? For that, Express says that you have one more parameter over here which is known as next. And if you call the next function over here, now can you guess what will happen? Now do you think that second response will be printed or not? Tell me. Now you must be thinking, Akshay, you just show us dreams and then it does not work the way you say, right? What do you think will happen now, right? If I hit next, so will it go to next request handler or not? What will you see in the response? What will you see, my dear friends? You will actually see, let me hit send, you will actually see the second response. You are absolutely right. So what will happen is, now see how this code works. This request was made, request goes to the server. Now the server says that, okay, it is the request to /user. Now it will go to the first route handler. It will print this console log. See, this route handler was printed. Then it sees that, okay, now we are not handling anything. We are not sending back the response or we are not doing anything. We are just calling the next function over here. This next function is given to us by Express.js, right? Express.js says that whenever a request will come, so a request will come and automatically this request object will be passed into this function. A response object is passed into this function and a next is passed into that function as the third argument. If you call this next function, it will go to the next route handler. Do you understand that? Right? When the next function is called, next route handler will handle this, and then now this function will be called console log of second. This will be printed into the console and then the response was sent over here. Got it? Do you see this? Do you understand this? Right? The second response handler was worked. Now let me ask you some basic questions. What if I did this? I am writing res.send and I am also calling the next function. What will happen now? Tell me. Can you guess, my dear friends? Right? I like to, I like to be very curious. I want all my students to be very curious because see, I love to play with code. And I personally in my life have learnt a lot when I was playing with code. I love to do these important things. What will happen this? What will happen if I do this? What will happen if I move this code up, move this code down? What will happen? You should also do this. Why I am showing you all of this is because I want all of you to learn like I learn. I have learned these concepts like I have literally when I was learning, right? I was checking the API of app.use and then I saw that okay, what is written over here? What is the format? What is the signature of this API? And then I tried to play it with it, right? I have played with it a lot. That is why I am able to tell you all of these things, right? So please do that and please try to experiment yourself. What will you see now, right? Can you guess it? Let me just go ahead, hit the response. What is your guess? Note down your answer, write your answer on a notebook, and then when I hit send and then verify your answer. Okay, let me send it and it will give you response. Why? Because it is very understood. It will first go to this route, it will print this console log, right? It will print this console log and then it will send the response back. And do you also see one more thing? You will see a error message over here. Do you see a error message over here? Now let me tell you why you got this error message and how this code worked, right? So what happened when you made the /user API call? What happens? It logs this into the console. We have seen this console log. It goes to response.send, response, right? And it sent the response back to the server. But our response, right? Our postman got the response, but what is happening to the code which is remaining in that file? Will it execute or not? It will still execute. That code will still execute because you know, right, how JavaScript works? How JavaScript will work is this function was executed in the call stack. And you know, right, JavaScript waits for none, right? Time, tide, and JavaScript waits for none. As soon as we give this code into the call stack, right, the execution context is created and code is run line by line. So how this code will run? Console log will be printed, response will be sent back to postman, and then this next function will be called. And when you call this next function, it will go to the second route handler. In the second route handler, again this function will be executed line by line, and again this console log will be printed onto the console. Do you see this? And our code will throw an error. Our code will throw an error when you are trying to send another response through the same URL. Why it is throwing an error? Why it is throwing an error? Because C cannot set the headers after they are sent to client, because we have already sent a response to client. Now you cannot change the request. And what happened? A TCP connection is made, remember, between a client and a server. Our postman is our client, we have our server, and now a TCP connection is made. It opens up the connection, it sends the data back, and it closes the connection, and the connection is lost. Our postman has got the response, but on the server, my code is still trying to send more response. It will not work, it will throw an error. Okay, so as a developer, we should never write like this. We should never write like this. Got it? So, see, now some people will write code like this and their code will work perfectly fine because see, this API is working fine. But over here, you will start getting errors. And people generally ignore errors because things are working fine. But do you know you have messed up your code? So you should not do that. You should clearly understand what is the use of next. How are route handlers working? What if I do rest.send afterwards, or what if I do rest.send later on, right? What if I do this? What if I do this? Tell me. Now another question, another output question, right? Another output question. What will happen now? Tell me. Right now you would have some trust issues with Express and you would have trust issues with my teaching style, that Akshay, you are just confusing me again and again. But I am not confusing you. I am just telling you all these scenarios, and if you want to be a good developer, you should know all these small things. It will give you confidence when you will write code, because you will exactly know when you are writing this what is happening. You know, my teaching style is a little different. I love to explore these small nitty gritty things. I can just skip all of it and just start making APIs, start connecting to database, fetching the data, sending back to user. No, because see, you will be doing a lot of rest.send, next, this, that. You will be writing middlewares, you will be writing a lot of route handlers. I want your knowledge to be perfect, crystal clear. All these things should not be a problem. You should never ask me a question, Akshay, what will happen if I call next, this, that, right? No confusions. Learn it slowly, learn it properly, and you will get confidence when you will write the code. Are you enjoying this in-depth learning? If you enjoy such kind of learning, please give me feedback also, because sometimes as a teacher, I don't know. You might be feeling that I am going very slow, but I want to cover everything, right? This is my teaching style. If you don't like it, please do share me a feedback. If you like this, please do share that feedback also. Okay, let's just move ahead. But this is another output question. Let us just see what will happen now. Okay, I have saved the file. Let's go back and hit enter. Can you just guess first of all what will happen? Will I see response? Will I see second response? Will I see both? What will happen? What will happen to this rest.send? Will it be even called? What will happen? Right? So let us go back and send the response. It gets the second response. Now you know why you got the second response, but do you get an error? Yes, we got an error again. Why? Why did we get an error again? Why did we get an error again? You know, you will have to go back to season 1. You will have to see how JavaScript code is executed inside the call stack, and then you will realize what happened. Right? Let me tell you what happened in this case. As soon as we called /user, it went over here and this function was running line by line. Okay? It printed console log handling route user. Right? It printed this console log handling route. Then it called next. So as soon as you call this function next, it basically calls this function. Now, this function goes to the call stack and executes line by line. Execution context is made and that code is running line by line. If you don't understand this, this is proper JavaScript, okay? Just go to Namaste JavaScript and check the code of how JavaScript code is executed. I think it is just episode 1st, 2nd, 3rd, right? Go and see that, right? You will understand that how JavaScript code executes, right? So if you are calling this next function, so it goes onto the call stack. Now, as soon as you call this next line, this code starts executing. So what it will do, it will log this to the console, right? Handling the route user 2. Then it will send the response back. And this function is finished executing. Execution context moves out of the call stack. And now this next code is finished. Now it will go and run this line number 10 over here. Now it will run the line number 10 and response.send response is sent, right? This thing is called and you get an error over here. You get an error over here, and if you want to debug it more, you can go and see over here. We got the error at line number app.js line number 10. Do you see this? Line number 10? I got the error over here. So how the code ran? It came over here, this console log, this next. As soon as this code goes over here in next, now this code start executing, right? Handling the route 2. Then the response is sent. Now it comes back. The code of execution comes back over here and it runs this line and it gets an error because you are trying to send a response again to the client when the request is already fulfilled. Got it? This is how the code works. Now, I wanted to tell you all of this, right? Because this is amazing. But I wanted to tell you that, okay, these route handlers can be multiple. And if you want to handle multiple route handlers, you can just add as many route handlers as you want to, right? What do you mean by that, right? I can have multiple. Let us just play with more route handlers, okay? What I am trying to say, you can add more route handlers. See, I am adding like 4 route handlers. All of the functions that you keep putting in over here, all of them will work one by one. Okay. So how will this work? This will run this route handler. Then it will go to this route handler. Then it will go to this route handler. No. Why it will not go to third route handler? Because we don't have a next over here, isn't it? Right? We don't have a next. Okay, let's play with it, right? Let me make it 3, right? I hope you're not getting bored. I don't know. I am not getting the response from you. So let me use my dictatorship and teach you whatever I want to. Okay. So I don't care. if you are liking it or not, because I will teach you, because I am very interested to teach you all of it, right? So this is my route handler, and I'm calling next over here. I am sending the response here, second response, and then I'm not calling next or anything. So what will you think this will be printed, right? What will be printed over here? What will be printed, right? So the answer would be second response. Why? And will you see error, right? This is also the first question is what will be printed? Will you get error in the code or not? Will you get error in the code, or what will be printed? So the error will not be there and second response will be printed. You know the reason why. If you don't know it, then just try to use your head, right? Let me just first of all show it to you. If we hit this, if you hit send, it sends you second response. Hi, why? See, it goes to this route handler, it goes to this code, right? It will run this code, see, handling route over here. Then it will call next. When you call the next, it goes to the next route. It will handle this like handling route user 2. Then it will go to response.send second response, right? And then it sends back the response. And now it will go no further. These route handlers will never be called because they can only be called if the next function was called from here. If you call next from here, and you don't send the response, right? Now what will happen? Oh my god, I have got error. Next is not defined. Okay, I have not defined next over here. Sorry, my bad. Next is not defined over here. And so see, you can add next to everywhere because next will be there always, right? Next will be there always, okay? So now let's just go back and over here, okay? And send the response. You will see third response over here, isn't it? You will see third response. And it will not go any further. We will see this, right? And in the third response also, if I just remove this and call next over here, it will go to the fourth response, right? Will it go to fourth response? Yes, it will go to the fourth response, and all of these four route handlers were called now. Now, what if I don't send from the fourth response handlers also and I just call next? What will happen, my dear friends? What will happen? Tell me. again, this is again a corner case. I am a software engineer. I love handling corner case. If you are a data structure enthusiast just like me, I love data structures, right? And in the data structure, what I have learned is in data structures and algorithm that you have to take care of the corner cases, right? There can be any corner cases, right? So this is one of the corner case that I am calling next from the fourth response. What do you think will be the response? Now you might say, what will happen? Like, think about it, right? I'm not telling you the answer. Will you get an error? First of all, the question is, will you get an error? Right? Let me just save it and directly show it to you. Let's go. The request will get an error. Why do we get this error? This error is coming because, can you think about it? And see the error. Error is saying cannot get user. It has not able to find the path. Why? Why it is getting the user? And if you will see over here, all the console logs were printed. Basically, the code was running, but it says that cannot get user. Why? The reason is we are calling next over here, and now Express is expecting you another route handler over here. Because we have not defined a route handler, that means it says that I cannot get the route handler for this. Got it? So basically, think about Express. So Express feels that, okay, there must be some other route handlers also, because why? That is why I'm calling next over here, right? But we don't have any other route handler. That is why it is breaking. What will happen if I don't call next and leave it empty? What will happen now? What will happen now? Will it throw an error? Now let me go back and show it to you. It will not throw an error, but it will hang. Why it is hanging? Because I'm not handling. This route came in over here. I'm not handling it. But if I call next over here, that means there will be an error because there is no route handler there. There is no route handler. There is no route handler. It is expecting one more route handler that sends the response back, right? Right? So basically, see, Express wants that make how many route handlers you want to, but at the end, at the end the response should be sent. Okay, response should be sent, right? And if I go and handle the fifth, right, fifth response, and if I handle this 5 and if I run the code, now it will work as expected and fifth response will be printed over here. Got it? Amazing or not? Right? I know some people might be confused, but please keep taking down notes, because these are express basics of writing route handlers, right? And a lot of interesting things. And these are important and amazing things, right? That nobody talks about generally. But these things, if you know it, you will feel confidence when you will write code, right? You will get a lot of confidence when you are writing code. Got it? So you will understand that what is the meaning, because we will be doing a lot of app.use, app.get, app.router and whatnot, right? You should know all of it. Now, let me also tell you that, okay, you can send it like this, app.use/user, and you can send one by one all these response. Or what you can do, see, there are how many? There are multiple functions over here. You can send all these functions like this, or you can also send array of functions over here, right? You can also send array of functions. You can send array of functions over here. See this. I have wrapped all these functions inside array, right? Wrapped all these functions inside array, and let me save it. And if I run this code once again, it works exactly the same. Exactly the same. Got it? Now you can also mix and match, right? Suppose if you want to keep an array for just 2 functions over here, and all of the other functions does not have an array, right? Sorry, comma over here. So let me just show it to you what I'm doing. See how I am writing. This is the route. Then I am keeping an array of 2 route handlers. There are, see, 2 route handlers over here. I am keeping that inside array, and the other route handlers are just hanging around. Other route handlers are just hanging around, right? So if I send it again, it will again behave the same way. So what I am trying to say is, why I am showing you all of it is, see, how is the signature? If you do app.use and then you write a route over here, right? /route, then over here you can add as many route handler as you want to. Route handler 2, route handler 3. These are all functions, right? These are all functions, okay? So I'm just trying to show it to you because this code is becoming very lengthy, right? So you might not have understood it properly. Suppose we have 5 route handlers one by one, right? So what you can do, either you can send like this, right? And or you can just wrap them all inside an array and you can send it like this. This also works. Or you can just wrap some things inside array, right? Some things inside array and you can send like this. Or you can just send 1 inside an array or 2 inside an array. Basically, see, writing route handlers inside array, nothing will break over here, right? This is a perfectly valid syntax, and all of these cases that I taught you will work the same way, right? The route handlers will work the same way. Let me just show it to you. So suppose, see, if I am wrapping up my routes, this route and this route, I am wrapping these 2 routes inside an array, right? Suppose, right? So I am wrapping these 2 routes inside array. Got it? So now if you go back, if you send the response, it will work the same way. So wrapping routes inside array does not have anything to do, and you can add as many routes as you want to over here like this. Got it? This is what I wanted to show you, how you can add multiple route handlers, how you can add multiple functions over here in this app.use. You can not just use in use, you can just use it inside get, you can use it inside post, you can use it inside delete, anywhere this will work, right? If you do get, it will again work, right? So all of the methods, all of the functions, all will work the same way with this route handlers. Got it? Now, this is what I wanted to tell you. Now, before moving ahead in this video, I want you to take a pause at this point of time and let me, what we were doing, we were playing out with multiple route handlers, right? Handlers, and let me just commit this code, right? Let me just commit this code and let me just push it to GitHub, right? I have just pushed it to GitHub so that you can also check if you want to write this commit. But what I am trying to say is that now you have your homework. Pause the video at this point of time and then create multiple route handlers. So what you have learned, you have run route handlers, right? Handling multiple route handlers, right? This is what we have learned. You have to try out, right? And play with the code, right? And then you have also learned about next function, right? You have also learned about next function and errors along with res.send. Suppose if you have both of them together, right? You have to play with all of them. Okay. First of all, put res.send and then put next, then put on the top and then play with it, right? You have to practice this. And the third thing, you have to use it. You have to practice this, right? You have to practice this, right? You have to practice this, right? Please take a pause over here in this video. Go back to your system and do whatever I did. Whatever I did, exactly play with the code. And then come back again and we will go forward with our learning, because we are going to learn amazing things. Next, I'm going to tell you how, like, different more ways, right? There are so many interesting things. I'm not telling you what I'm going to tell you next, but please take a moment, pause this video right now, go back and play with the code and then come back over here and watch it again. Okay? So please, I request you to do that. Welcome back, my dear friends, and hope you would have done the homework now, right? Let's get back to code once again. Go to the app.js file, and now let me tell you one more way of defining a route handler. You know, sometimes what happens is, suppose you don't write like this, right? Let me just remove all the code from here, right? Let me remove all these 5 route handlers. Now I have called next over here, right? So I can also define, I can define my route handler over here like this, one by one. One more way of defining a route handler is, you don't define it, you don't pass the second argument over here, but you can also pass in like this, right? You can also create one more route handler with the same route. And now in the second one, now from here you can do res.send, right? You can do res.send. Got it? And res.send and then second route handler. And this is the independent route handler, right? Independent means it's again a second route handler, basically. See, now we are not passing this function as the second argument, right? You can pass it over here, or you can define it like this also. If you'll go over there, if I make an API call, see, it goes to the second route handler. Why? How it will work? It will work exactly the same way, my dear friends. I told you, right? The sequence of these functions matter a lot, right? The sequence of these functions matter a lot. If you will write it like this, it will again go to /user. It will go over here. It will call the console log, right? This handling the user route. Then it will go over here. It will again say handling the user route. Let me call it user2, right? And then it will send the response back. What if I change the order? Can you guess the output now? What if I change the order, right? I love to do all these. I love to play with code. What will happen now? Tell me, my dear friends. What will happen now? Now you already know that, okay, these order matters over here. So first of all, it will go to this code, right? And it will go print the console log. And then it will go print the res.send, right? So when the res.send will be called, the second route handler will be returned, right? This response will be returned to the client. The postman will get the response, second route handler, isn't it? But will it go to this route or not? Will it print this to console or not? Will this next will be called or not? And if next is called, will it throw an error or not? Or will it throw an error to postman? What will happen? Right? So again, a curious thing, right? So let's go back. Let me hit send. And if I send this response back, and if I go back over here, see, what will you see? How it worked was, see, user came in over here, console log happened, right? And then the response was sent over here, and the second route handler was not even called, right? So that it does not matter, because see, it is not even going to the next one. It is not even going to the next one. But what if I sent next over here? Again, right? This I have already discussed. You should know the answer to this. Otherwise I will hit you, right? I can't hit you, but then assume that I'm coming over there, and I will come in your dreams and I will slap you. Okay? Okay? Because you should know the answer to this. I have just told you, right? What will happen now? What will happen now if I send the response? Will it load forever? No, my dear friends, it will give you cannot get route, because see, I have called the next over here and there is no next route handler. It is going from this route handler to this route handler, and it is expecting one more route handler. If I don't call this next over here, what will happen? It will go to an infinite loop. See this. It will go to an infinite loop. Got it? So this is how it works. Hope you would have understood these route handler techniques, my dear friends. Okay, cool. So this is what I wanted to teach you. Okay, but I have an interesting question for you. Let me just modify the code and then I will tell you. I have an interesting thing for you, right? I have an interesting question for you. My questions are interesting, isn't it? Right? I love to play with code, and my questions are definitely interesting. The interesting question is, why do I even want to do this next? And why do I want to do this next? And then I want to make multiple route handlers. I can just make one route handler and then handle everything, right? Why do I even need all these functions over here, right? There's no point of making it. Whatever you have to do over here, suppose if you are doing a console log, do it in one function only. Why Express has made all of this nonsense kind of a thing, right? Why are all these multiple function, multiple arrays, these, that? Why are we doing all this? Do we even really need it? The answer to this is middlewares. So I have been calling throughout this lecture these functions as route handlers just to simplify it in your head. But let me tell you, route handler is just the function that actually is handling the route, that actually is sending the response back. Right? We generally call these functions as route handlers, but ideally these functions that you put in the middle, right? These functions that you put in the middle, these functions are known as middlewares. Middlewares. Got it? So remember the term middleware. See how Express.js application works. See, it is tough to explain all of this in theory also, but let me tell you how this Express.js application works. So suppose a request comes in, right? Suppose a request comes in, a get request to /users. Right? A get request to /users. So what will happen is, as soon as it is come to Express, right? As soon as it comes to Express, first of all, it will go and check for whether we have this route matching somewhere. This method and route is matching somewhere. Yes, it is matching over here. So what it will do is, it will just go through the chain of middlewares, and it will go through the chain of middlewares, and then it will handle the response. So I'll tell you one more example, right? We have seen this very early when we were making an app. Suppose if we also have app.use over here, right? App.use over here, and over here we have slash, and over here we have a route handler or something, right? Route handler or something, right? It takes a request and it takes a response, right? And it sends the response back, response.send, and it says that, okay, handling /route, right? Now, what do you think the answer will be? What do you think when I call user will happen? Can you just think about it? Can you just think about it? What will happen is, if I send this, I will get my handling /route. Why do you think this? So I'll tell you how the application works is, Express.js application, suppose if you are getting the request users, so it will try to go to each of these one by one, right? It will try to go to each of these, right? Each of these APIs one by one, each of these app.get, app.use, it will go to one by one and it will see if it matches or not. So when you say slash, this user falls into this. Remember I told you in the last episode, I told you, right? So if you are writing slash, so it will handle all the response. Whatever you put after slash, it will handle all the response. Got it? It will handle all the response. Okay, so it is handling this response, and I have sent the response back from here, so it will not even go to this. It will not even go to this. This will, right? If you write a console log over here, it will not even be printed, right? This is handling slash route, slash user route, right? It will not even go to this, right? This console log will not even be printed. See this, right? It will not print over here because I have sent the response from here only. But what if I had put next over here, right? What if I did not handle the route over here and I put next over here, right? I put next over here, right? I can put next over here, right? So what will happen now? If I go and send the response, I will go to the second route handler and the console log will also be printed. Why? Because what is happening? First of all, this user goes, it checks all the app.xxx functions, right? Right? It will check for all the app.xxx functions with the route, right? With the route, with the matching route, right? This route should be matching route. Functions, right? It will go one by one and will try to execute them one by one till it gets the response back, till it gives the response back to the server. It will keep on going one by one by one by one. Basically, whenever a request comes to Express.js server, the job of Express.js server is to go one by one, one by one, one by one, and goes from the top to bottom to all the handlers, to all the app.functions, right? And try to send the response back, right? If it does not find a matching URL, if it does not be able to send the response back, it just hangs up, right? That's how Express works, right? So it checks all the functions and it sends the response back if any of them are sending the response back, and it will go no further. That's how Express works, right? Did you understand this or should I repeat it? Let me explain you once again. Suppose if you are sending a request to Express server, it will try to go one by one, check all these methods, right? Whatever is matching over there, it will check all of them. If it finds it matching, it will go and call these functions, right? It will call this function, it will call this function, and it will keep on going one after the other to these route handlers and middlewares, right? These are the middlewares, right? These are the middlewares. It will keep on going to middleware by middleware by middleware till it reaches a function which actually sends the response back, and actually that function is known as request handler, and all of the functions that is goes through in between, it is known as middlewares. So basically, whenever you make any API call, it basically goes through a middleware chain, and finally it goes to the request handler, and I'm calling the request handler the function which actually is sending the response back, because it is actually handling the response. And if it does not find a request handler, if there is, see over here in this case, this is a middleware, you can assume these also as middlewares, right? And this is actually a request handler because it is actually sending the data back. What if, this is just a lingo. There is no concept of middleware or route handler or one. These are just things made up by us, the developers, to convey the message. But according to Express, these are just functions, right? And we call these functions as middleware because these are being called in the middle of the request chain or the method chain, right? These are kind of like chain of methods, right? And the Express will call them one after the other. What if the response was sent from here, right? What if we did not call next over here and we send the response? Okay, let me just copy paste this and let us call this as, right, first route handler. What will happen? You already know this, right? If I go call this API, it will go to the first route handler, right? It will go over here, it will call this function, right? And it will go over here, it will call this function, it will log it to the console, right? Then it will go back and send the response from here. So this is the response handler, this is also the response handler, but this will never get a chance to execute because I am handling it over here only, right? So now in this method chain, this will be called as middleware, this is called as middleware, and all these functions which actually sends the response back are known as response handlers, right? This is the common lingo which is used, but let me tell you, see, it is a very loosely used word, so you don't have to focus much upon all of it, but you should exactly know the working of how things are working, right? So Express takes and matches all the routes and goes through the middlewares one after the other. Finally, it goes till one after the other till it sends the response back. The only job of Express is to take the request and give the response as soon as possible, right? And it goes in order to keep checking these functions. Okay, this is what Express.js is doing. Express.js is just running all these codes and checking and trying to fulfill the request of the users, right? Because the main job of server is to respond back to the user. This is the main job of server. This is the main job of Node.js. Got it? So this is what we are doing over here. And I wanted to explain you all of it because see, your interviewer can ask you what is a middleware, what is a route handler, and what is this. This is all theory, but you should exactly know how to explain it to your interviewer. Hope you would have understood it. If you haven't, then please go back, watch this video once again, and you will understand what I'm trying to say. And what I was trying to say is you can even create multiple route handlers like this, right? And you can just do it, right? Now, I will also go ahead and I will actually show you the actual importance of route handler very soon, okay? Let me just show it to you. Let me first of all clear everything from the scratch. I will show it to you. But I would request you to go and create multiple like this, right? Use this example and create multiple. Create a middleware. This is known as a middleware, and this is again known as separate route handler. Got it? So create all of them and practice it in your system. Cool. But let me just remove all the code and let me explain you. Now you know what is middleware, right? So one more homework I am adding. Read more about what is middleware. Read from the internet what is middleware. You should know how to answer it. What is middleware? What is a middleware? And how Express.js basically handles request behind the scenes. You know, let me tell you, a lot of Node.js developers don't understand whatever I am telling you. I'm telling you, right? They don't understand this chain. They don't understand the use of next. They are just copy pasting code and writing. They are just writing it, but they don't understand the actual logic of why they are writing. I have seen people writing next, this, that, and all, but they don't actually understand what is happening behind the scenes, right? This is the ground level knowledge which I want to give you all, okay? So we have seen what is middleware. We have seen how Express.js basically beautifully handles these requests and tries to go in the chain one by one and sends the response back. This is the main thing, right? But now let me show you actually why do we even need middlewares? Right? What is the use of it? And I will show you the actual use of it. That why on earth would I do this, right? Let me just show it to you. Suppose if you have a route, right? Get route, and you have /admin over here, right? You have /admin over here, right? And you are handling some data, right? Suppose if this admin is just getting a user data, right? Get all data, right? Because admin has extra privileges, right? So the admin wants to get all data. Now it is fetching the data from the database or something. I can write logic over here. Just assume that, okay, logic of fetching all data, right? I have written this. And then what I will do, I will just do a response dot send, right? Response dot send over here. Right, I can just respond or send, and I can say data, all data sent, right? All data sent, right? This is the call to my admin, right? This is the call to my admin slash get all data, right? If I run this function over here, oh my god, it's not handling. Okay, I have not handled it properly or so. Let me just save it. Reference error, res is not defined. Okay, my bad. Request comma response. Cool. So now if I go back, see, I get all data sent. Suppose if I have multiple such APIs, okay? I have multiple such APIs. Suppose if I have one more API, and this admin can also, suppose, delete a user. Delete a user. Right? So what will I do? Delete a user. Right? Deleted a user. Right? It can just delete a user. Right? Deleted a user. I'm just making these fake API calls, but see, the admin can delete the user. If you will call this API call, it will again, right? You know what will happen. You know what will happen. Delete user. Sorry, my bad. Hit send, deleted a user, right? So admin can have multiple API calls like this, right? Let me just remove these comments. Cool. So now these are multiple route handlers. Admin can get all data, it delete users. What if I want to authenticate I can just not leave all these APIs public, right? I want to first of all validate the authorization. I should check the authorization of the admin, right? I should even check who is, from the postman I'm making an API call. Can anybody make an API call to this function? No, right? We will have to write logic to check. First of all, as soon as I get this API call, I should check if the request is authenticated, right? Basically, this request should be authenticated. If the request is actually made by an admin, if this request is authorized, okay, let me just write it like this. I should check the auth, right? Whether it's right. If it is not authorized, then we should respond them back with an error that you are not an admin. Why are you hitting an API call? You don't have token. Suppose if the admin is making an API call with token, so we should validate that token, isn't it? If the token is invalid, we should not send the data back. Cool, right? So what will happen? Suppose if I have written the logic of checking this, right? Logic of checking. If the request is authorized, then I will basically fetch all data from the database over here, and then I will send all data, right? But don't you think that you will have to do this again and again? Don't you think that you will have to do this again and again, right? Don't you think that you will have to do this again and again? Because if the admin is having two APIs, so will you keep writing this logic again and again, right? I can write some logic, right? Let me just write some logic also. Suppose if I want to check, okay, I got the token, right? Suppose I got the token from this request. How would I get the token? So suppose if I get the token, I can say request dot body dot token. Okay, so I'm just writing sample code. It's not an actual working code, but just understand for the sake of it. And I can also put in, suppose is admin authorized, right? Let me just create a function, is admin authorized, right? Is admin authorized, and I will just check, right, in this function, is admin authorized, right? If the token is valid or not, if token is equal to suppose if the token is equal to XYZ, right? Then I will say, okay, it is authorized, otherwise it is not, right? And this token is not coming from request body. Let us say that, okay, token is XYZ, right? Token, assume that this token is coming from request.body.token, but we don't have the working API as of now, but I'm just writing dummy code. So suppose if the token is XYZ and if the admin is authorized, right? Now, what will I do? I will write this logic, right? If my is admin authorized is true, then send all the data. Otherwise, don't send all the data, right? Right? Else, if my admin is not authorized, then it should send right? Then it should send a not authorized response, isn't it? It should send me 401, right? And it should send me, by the way, this is how you put status code. So by default, the status code is 200. Do you know the status code? If you don't know about the status code, then just go Google HTTP status codes, right? HTTP status codes. So these are HTTP status code. You might have heard about 200 OK, right? These are the status code. So 200 OK means 200 status code means request is OK, right? The request is OK. The response came back very successfully. 401 means 404 error. You have heard of it, right? If something is not found, we send the status 404. Okay. 401 means unauthorized, right? These are standard codes. You can send it, right? See, and by default, when you do res.send, that means you are actually sending the 200. By default, it sends 200. If you want to modify that, you can send the status 401, and I can send some message also. I can send that, okay, the admin is not authorized, right? Something like that, right? The request is not valid, or just a minute. Just a moment, right? I can just write whatever logic I want to write and whatever message I want to give. Unauthorized request. Unauthorized request. REQUEST. Cool. So I can write this logic over here, right? Let us go back, and if I hit get all data, sorry, delete a user, get all data, right? So get all data sent, because my token was valid. What if this token was XYZ, instead of XYZ, it was ABC or random, right? But I was expecting the token to be XYZ. Now, this is not authorized. This is not authorized. What will happen? If I send the request, it will give me 401 unauthorized, and it will send me unauthorized request, right? Now, basically, suppose if I have to make all the admin APIs authorization, right? If I have to put the authorization to all the admin APIs, right? So will I keep doing all of it, right? Will I keep doing the same thing, all of it over here, right? All of it, and then I will send this, right? Instead of this, I will send this, all of it. Is it a good way? Is it a good way? I will keep writing all of this logic of checking token over here. Right? If I do delete a user, will I keep doing all of it? No, my dear friends, this is where middleware comes into picture. This is why middleware comes into picture. I'll show you how you can make and rewrite this code very beautifully using a middleware. And I'm telling you, this is the easiest explanation of middleware you can ever get. I'm telling you. A lot of teachers teach middlewares later on, right? This authorization and everything. So people don't understand that, you will just copy paste them. But I want to actually teach you what is middleware and why do we need it, right? Now you will actually understand the importance of writing a middleware and how it works amazingly, right? I'll show it to you. So suppose if you want to write a middleware, generally see, middlewares are written using app.use, right? Because I want my middleware to work for post request also, get request also. But see, middleware is just a theoretical concept. There is no rule for defining it. So you can write a middleware for all the get request also. You can write it for post request also. But generally, broadly, we generally use, right? And why we use, you will soon get to know. Right? So I have this use. Now I want to write this middleware for all the requests which are coming to /admin. All the requests which are coming to /admin. Okay. Now if I write this route over here, right, and I put it on the top, so all my requests, if this request is coming, this will also go through this middleware. This request is coming, this will also go through this middleware, because I have written this /admin, right? So this will fulfill anything /admin/1 /admin/get user /admin/get all data /admin/delete user, everything, all the requests which are starting with /admin, it will handle all of it, right? This is why you write middleware like this, right? And And now it is up to us whether we just want to use this middleware for, if I just want to handle, I want to write this middleware just for get request, so I can put it get over here. If I want to generally see, what is the purpose? I am trying to write, what is the problem statement? Handle auth middleware for all requests. When I say all request, it can include get, post. Suppose if any post request is coming to /admin, then also this middleware should run. So I will use app.use over here, right? Suppose if I wanted just for only get requests, right? For only get request. So I will use get over here. But right now I want to make this middleware and it makes sense to use over here, right? I don't know why this name is use. You know, there is one more method, app.all. This also works for get, post, patch and all, right? And there is a subtle difference between use and all, right? I'm not getting into complicated things, but you know, the general practice, you know, there is a difference between use, app.use and app.all. But let me, I'm requesting you, please just always use over here, because see, these are confusing things. Express.js community made this all function also and made this use function also. There is a very small difference. I don't want to get into all those details. Take it up as a homework, right? So I'm just giving you as a homework. I'm not explaining you right now. Otherwise I will deviate from the teaching a lot, right? But I want you all to know the difference, right? VS difference between you. This is your homework, okay? You will have to do this homework, okay? Whenever I'm giving you homework, don't skip anything. I want you all to do all the homework, okay? So app difference between app.use and app.all. You can also write app.all. App.all works exactly, almost exactly the same way like use, but there's a very small difference, and that difference is in routing, right? How routing works. So how you define the routes. I'm not teaching you right now, but just find it yourself. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't want to deviate, right? Let's come back to the problem statement once again. Let me put my head over here once again. So see, I am handling the auth middleware for all requests, for all get, post, patch, all type of requests, right? Get, post, patch, get, post, patch, delete, all the requests will be handling. So I will use app.use, and I want all of these requests to be authorized. All of these requests to be authorized, right? So I can write an auth method over here. I can write an auth method over here. And what I can do, I can write all this logic over here, right? I can take it from here, okay? So because see, over here I can also read request, and I can also modify response, and I also have access to next over here. So what I will do is, I will check the token, I will fetch the token, I will check if the admin is authorized. Then if my admin is authorized, right? Let me just tell you, if my admin, let me write it myself, right? Let me not copy paste. I want to write it myself. If my admin is not authorized, so what will happen is, I don't want Express to even go to the next routes. How the Express works, it will go one by one, right? I want to just send the error message from here itself, right? I want to send the unauthorized message from here itself. I don't even want Express to go to any other route handler. I will just send the error message from here itself. It will not even go to further routes. You know, right? Why? Because I am just sending. If I do rest.send, so it will not even go to the next routes, right? It will not even go to the next route. Else I will go to next. Do you understood this? Do you understand this? What will happen now? Right? If I am doing /admin, so it will first of all go to this, else it will go to next. Now this next will take to any route you want to, right? And now I can just simply write the logic for sending all data. And I am pretty much sure, I am 100% sure that I can only go to this route. I can only go to this route when my auth is perfectly fine, right? When my auth is perfectly fine. Let me just improve my code now. Do you see how clean my code is now? See, this is the middleware. This will be called for all the admin routes. /admin, this will be called, okay? Let me also console log to show you, right? If it works or not. Admin auth is getting checked, right? Getting checked. So admin auth is getting checked and it will only go to next if my admin is authorized, right? If my admin is not authorized, okay, let us just write XYZ once again. Suppose if my token is valid. Now let us just test this function. So let us go back once again, get all data. If I send this, it gets me all data and it see admin auth is getting checked. So see, this function was called and we checked the admin auth. The admin auth was authorized, so it called this next function. So it went to this over here and it sent the data back. Similarly, if I go to delete a user, right? If I go to this delete a user, let me go to this delete a user, send it, deleted a user. Got it? So basically you got this and admin auth is checked, called once again, right? Do you see this? Right? Let me just show it to you. Let me refresh the page. You will see over here when I make an API call, you will see this log printed, right? If I send this over here, so admin auth is getting checked and I'm getting checked, right? Suppose if there is some more route, right? Let us just copy paste this. Suppose if there is some more route, okay? There is some more route and let's call it /user. And let us just user data sent, okay? So will this auth be run when I call this route? Will this auth run when I call this route? What is your answer? If I send it, okay, sorry, let's go to user now. Let's go to user, make a request. If I send this, so see, user data sent, but admin auth should not be checked. Okay, let me just check it. Why it is? I think I have not saved it. Let me refresh the page. If I send this, see, admin auth is not getting called now. It would have been, the server was not refreshed. Okay, but if you send it once again, this admin auth will not be called for any route starting from users, because this middleware, right? This middleware will only be called for /admin. This middleware will only be called for /admin. Now this is a very easy and a clean way of handling authorization for all the routes, and this is why middleware comes as a concept. And you can in fact do a lot more things, right? There can be a lot more complex things, right? With middlewares, as in when we will make the Dev Tinder app and we will build a full-fledged app, you will see how important these middlewares are. You will do a lot of things. You can write your own middleware. Sometimes you also use third-party middlewares, right? We will be using a third-party middleware very soon as we start writing the code, probably in the next episode, right? But I wanted to show you this concept of middleware and authorization. Sometimes one more clean way of doing this is, sometimes, you generally don't write middlewares like this, but generally go back to folder structure. You create a utils folder over here. Let us create a utils folder. Okay. Utils means utilities, utility files. And over here, you can just add a middleware file or something, right? Middlewares. Sometimes also, not even utils. Okay. Let us create a middleware folder, right? Rename it. Let's rename it to middleware. How can I rename? Yes. So middlewares, right? I am calling this middlewares, and inside that, let me create a auth middleware, right? I am trying to show you the clean and the best practices of writing code, and just take this whole function, right? I am taking this whole function and I am just writing this function over here, right? Constant auth, admin auth, right? Let me write admin auth, and I can just write this whole function over here, right? I have written this whole function, and now I can just export this constant, right? export constant from this file, right? Admin auth from this file. And then, right, I can export constant admin auth from this file, and I can just import it over here. How will I import it over here? I can just import admin auth, right, is equals to require, and then I will write from /middlewares, and over here I will just extract it because I'm writing export over here. So I will write it like this, right? And then I will just pass in like this, right? Admin auth. Cool. So for all the /admin path, you can just put /admin auth. Got it? Now it says something is not found. Let me just see. Module not found. /middlewares. /middlewares and admin auth is not found. What is not found? Module not found. Why it is not found? Let me just see. I am on app.js, and then I should find it ./middleware/auth. Okay, I am not writing it properly. If I save this file, it says expected token export. Did I not export it correctly? Export constant. Okay, sorry, my bad. I should basically be doing like this, right? My bad. Module.exports, and I can just do it like this. Admin auth, right? I can write it like this. Now it should perfectly work fine, right? Now it should work fine, no errors, right? And if I send to user, it works. If I send to /admin/get all data, it should work perfectly fine, and admin auth is getting called again, right? So now we can use it like this. Do you see this? Now we have a auth handler, right? We have a auth middleware. Inside my middleware folders, I have a auth, and over here I am exporting admin auth. Similarly, I can also do user auth, right? I can also write a user auth over here, right? Why not? If I write a user auth, I can write a user auth also, and I can send a user auth, right? I can write admin auth, I can write user auth, and I can send a user auth over here, and I can also fetch it from the user auth. And I can also now either, see, I can do it like this, right? I can copy it like this. Just understand this small thing, right? You might be thinking that, okay, I will write it like this, right? I can either write it like this, user auth /user auth, right? And let me just, cool. So now I can write it like this, /user for all the user path. I can either write like this, but because I just have one route, so I can just skip this, right? I can skip this, and I can even write it like this. Do you understand what I'm doing? Do you understand what I'm doing? Just pause for a moment and think, what did I just write? Just pause for a moment and just think, what did I just write? Do you understand what I did? So I have created a user auth over here. I've created a user auth. It is again a middleware. Now this middleware, right? This middleware, user auth, and I have not written the correct spelling. Yes, user auth, right? So this middleware basically assume that whenever a /user request will come, it will first go to the middleware. It will check if the user is authenticated or not, right? User auth is getting checked, right? User auth will be checked. If the user is not authenticated, from here only we will send the response back, and this request will never even go over here. It will not even reach to this handler. And it is good, right? It is safe. Our user route is protected, right? So I can even, so basically if this middleware fails it, right? If this middleware fails the request, right? Sends the response, it is okay. Otherwise, if the request is approved, then it will call next. Then it will go and it will call this user data sent. Got it? Let me show you a demo. If I go to /user once again, right? It will get me user data sent, but what if my token was not valid, right? What if my token was not valid? Right? We will also do all of this with real token, my dear friends. Don't worry. When we will make dev Tinder, I will explain you everything. Right? So if I do it like this, and if I make an API call now, so it says unauthorized request 401 because my user auth is getting checked and it is not even going to my API handler. Got it? So this is how you write code. You can write it. I have tried to cover a lot of things, lot of different type of scenario. I have also shown you that you can directly write the auth handler over here. And my teaching style is that I first of all tell the problem, that why do we even need middlewares? You saw that code was getting so bad. Suppose if we had to write this auth logic in every request, how bad it would have been. Now it is not bad. Suppose if there is a user login API which does not need auth, right? Suppose if there is a user login API which does not need auth, okay? There is a post API which does not need auth. /user/login, right? /login, and this is the, okay, this is the response.send, okay? And then it says user logged in successfully. Okay? So request, response. Okay? So now, do you think that middleware will not be? So see, for the login API, do I need to put a restriction that user should be authenticated? Tell me. Do I need to put a restriction over that? No, right? Because login API should be open. Right? We don't need an authentication to call this API. So I will not put this user auth over here. But if suppose I want to call this /user/data, then I need to use this user auth over here. So by writing middleware, we can just customize a lot of amazing things. We can just customize these things, right? So it is amazing. So we have covered a lot in this video. We have covered a lot about middleware. We have covered a lot about route handler. We have covered a lot about next function. We have covered different ways of writing auth. We also know why middlewares are used, right? Why do we even need middlewares, right? What is a middleware? Why do we need it? Why do we need it? Why do we need it? Right? And we know the flow of how Express.js works. Now write a dummy auth middleware for admin, right? And then the next homework is write a dummy auth middleware for all user routes except login /user/login, right? I'm trying to give you the same homework whatever I have done, right, in this video. Without watching the video, please try to write it on your own. The more you will write code, the better you will become. The more you will appreciate the code, the more you will learn. My request is to please write it. There is small thing which I want to cover. Last small thing which I want to cover, error handling basically. So one small portion is left in this episode, but I want you to pause this video right now, play with all this code, whatever I have covered over here, come back once again. Just small portion is remaining. I will teach you error handling and then we will move on to the next episode. I know this episode is getting a little longer, but please, I request you to please wait for it. I know it has been more than an hour now, but please, this request is, my request is that when I go into teaching, I don't realize that episodes are going long because I want to dive deep and teach you every damn small thing, right? So please do this and come back once again. We will learn a lot, right? Meanwhile, let me just commit the code and see you right in the next one, writing auth middleware. Let me commit it up, auth middleware, and I have made a commit over here. Yes, okay. So I've made a commit. I have pushed the code onto GitHub. Now what we will do, right? We will explore more topics. I will explore one last thing, error handling, and that's how it will be. Okay. So let's go back. Right. So come back once again very soon, and I will see you. Welcome back, my dear friends. A very small portion of error handling is left. Let me just teach you that before I end this episode. Okay, so let's just start. Okay, hope you are ready with energy. I am ready with energy. I have drank some water. Meanwhile, I was taking a break. Now let's come back over here. Right. So how do you handle? Suppose, let me tell you. Error handling, right? Suppose if you are writing some piece of code, right? Let me just remove these routes for now, right? Because let me just remove all these routes because it is confusing, right? Let me just remove all the admin routes. Okay, let me remove this user route also. Let me remove this admin route also. Let me remove these middlewares also. Okay, um, should I remove middlewares? Okay, yes, let us just remove it. No need. I am just handling, going back to the basics. I'm removing these middlewares. Okay, cool. So over here, whenever I have this API call over here, right? Whenever I have this API calls, so what will I do? I will be doing a lot of things, right? Suppose if this is a call, okay, so let's call this as get user data. Okay, get user data, right? Suppose if the API name is get user data. So what will it do? We will write some logic of, we will write some logic of DB call and get user data, right? This is what we will do over here. And then we will send the user data. What if there is some error in the code? What if there is some error in the code? Maybe your DB is not able to fetch some request, or you have written some wrong JavaScript code. There is some error with the code, right? It can happen, right? It happens a lot, right? So what happens? We try to do all of that. We try to write all of that logic inside our try catch, right? But what if there is some error over here? How do we handle it? So let me tell you, let us just add some errors ourselves, right? Suppose if, see, I cannot generate the error randomly, right? How can you generate the error, right? Randomly, I can just throw a new error. Assume that there is something wrong with our code and we throw a new error from here, right? Basically there is some error randomly, right? Random error is thrown from here, right? Now what will happen to our route, right? Suppose if there is some random error comes in. So now if suppose somebody is getting the user data, let's go back and make an API call. What will happen now, right? What will happen now if I send this request? So see, some random error is shown, right? This error is not handled successfully in our code, isn't it? And do you also see it is exposing a lot of things? It is exposing that your router index.js, some file is not working. And do you see this? Some random code is getting printed. It is exposing things up, right? And some error is being thrown over here, right? It's not a good way to handle errors. So suppose if we have to handle all our application errors, so I can just create another handler, and let me just tell you how to create this, right? This is just one feature. Generally, see, we should write all our code using try catch, right? Whenever you are writing a logic of DB call or something, right? You should try to write everything inside try catch, right? Everything, whenever you are doing some code, try to write all of your logic inside try catch. It's a best way of doing things. But still, if there are some unhandled errors, right? If there is some code which is still throwing some error. So how do you want to handle it gracefully is, right? Let me just tell you, you can do something like this. app.use/. If I write app.use/, what happens? If I write app.use/, what happens? It matches all your route. This is basically kind of like a wildcard. We have also seen this right earlier, but this is kind of like a wildcard, right? What error it is showing? Requires a middleware function. What requires a middleware function? App.use requires a, okay, I'm coming to that. Don't you worry, my dear friend. Okay, cool. Now the error will go. Cool. Yep. So whenever I am making this call to /, this means it's a wildcard thing, right? It will match all the routes. Now what I can do over here, we have seen request, we have seen response, we have seen next. Do you know there is one more thing that you can add over here that can be error. So, but make sure if you are adding a error over here, that should be the first parameter. Error should be the first parameter. So see, this function, see, Express has defined this function very dynamically. If you will give it two objects, right? If you will give it two parameters, it will take the first as request, it will take the second as response. If you will give it three, then it will take request, response, and the third is next. If you give it four, then it will treat the first one as error, the second one as request, the third one as next. Oh, sorry. Error, request, response, next. And these this order matters a lot. If you will do this, right? If you will do this, your next will behave like error, and your error will behave like next. Okay, you already know this is basic JavaScript, so never do it. You have to remember this. If you are passing two variables over here, then the first will be request, the second is response. If you are passing three, the first is request, second is response, third is next. And if you are passing four over here, then the first one is error, the second one is request, the fourth one is next, right? The error, request, response, next. This is how it works. This is how the definition of this function is. Now don't ask me why it is so, because Express wanted to make your these route handlers easier for developers. And I don't know if it is easy or not, but it's handy, right? Why not, right? It's very handy. You just use it once and you remember it for the life, right? It's easy. So what we will do, if I ever get an error, right? If I ever get an error, so what will happen is, we will handle the error over here. If I ever get an error, so this error can be handled over here, right? If there is an error, if you get an error, then what we can do is, we can just handle this error. I can just send the response, and I can also send the status code. Let's say I send the status code 500, and I can send something went wrong or something like that, right? Something went wrong, right? This is still, we are handling it gracefully, right? We don't want to expose our code. We don't want to send random error messages, because do you want to see, suppose if you are making an API call and suddenly you get the response, user is not defined, your variable is not defined, your random errors coming in. You don't want all of that errors to going to your client, isn't it? And there would be a lot of websites where you would have seen, right? You are making the website and it is saying cart is undefined, right? I have seen that so many times in the application. This happens because of all of it, right? They're not handling it properly. But if you'll handle it properly, so if there is some error in any of the route, it will just handle it gracefully like this, right? If I save this up, let's go back over here. If I send the response, now you will see it will say something went wrong and it will say 500 error. Right? And now the UI can handle it gracefully. It will not just show any random thing, right? Because see, we have got an error in our system, right? Suppose if your code has some error, but still, either we can show a random message to user or we can gracefully handle it. So the best way is to gracefully handle that error. Right? We can send it some error, right? I can send something went wrong. I can send an appropriate status code, right? There can be different type of status code that you can use to communicate with your front end, right? The front end should understand what status code means what, right? If I'm sending 500, then what should you respond? If I'm sending 503, 401, 402, 404, all of the status code that you're sending, there should be a contract between UI and the backend. So the UI can handle it gracefully. Whenever you get something like this, you show them a message or a pop-up or something like that, and you can do a lot of stuff, right? And while you are doing this over there, you can also log your errors, because see, you should also be notified, right? Suppose if I am getting a lot of errors in my code, then I should also be notified. So I can log the error in Sentry or some other services, my logging service, my monitoring service. I can even send some alerts from here, right? Suppose if my code is breaking, I can send some alerts from here and I can get more information about the error also, right? So this is how you can make a wildcard match, and I can handle errors from here. Got it? So this is how you can write this middleware. This is also known as a middleware. So you can handle it, right? And this is what I wanted to show, one type of error handling. I have seen this concept used in a lot of applications, so I'm telling you, it's upon you. But the good way is to use try catch whenever you write any error. Because if you use a try catch, then how it works, let me just tell you. See, if you do a try and a catch, right? If you do a try and a catch like this, so basically if and you are writing all the logic over here in your try catch, right? If you are writing all the logic, even the response send logic inside try catch, write all the code inside try catch, and you get some error, you can catch it from here, right? If error, right, over here you can just send the response dot status of 500 and error dot message, right? I can just send the error message and you can just handle it. Instead of error message, you can gracefully send some message, right? Say something went wrong, some error, right? Some error, right? Or for contact support team, right? Something like that, right? You can just send the error over here. And if I go back and if I hit the get user data API, right? If I hit the get user data API, so it says that some error occurred, contact support team, and we are now handling it for here, right? Now it is taking me over here, right? It is taking over here because I have sent this request. It will not go any further, right? It will not go into this. But if I would have written this on the top, right? If I would have written this on the top, would it have been behaved differently? Tell me. This is your answer. What should be your answer? Tell me. Will it behave differently? Will it behave differently? Why? Why it is not behaving differently? Because we are handling the error over here in this route itself. Whenever slash get user data is calling, right, it will see this method. But over here right now we don't have an error, right? We get the error only when I throw this error over here. Got it? Now suppose if I throw this, if I am not using try catch, over here, then let me just show it to you. What will happen if I'm not using try catch over here? If I go back, if I hit this, then again I am seeing the error. Because see, now you should understand why all these things are happening. These routes are handled one by one. So this order is very important. So first of all, as soon as we got the request, it went over here. The error was not present. It went over here. Then it goes over here. It is trying. It throwed an error and the error was sent over here. Right? But what if I had this code written on both the places? Now tell me what will happen. Right? If I write this code both the places, now when, see, this function was called, right? Now whenever this function will be called, now the error will be sent. See this, something went wrong. Got it? So the order matters. So try to play with it. See, these things can be a little complex. If you are finding all these things complex, don't you worry. I am just touching upon the corner cases over here. And I just want you all to understand, right, how things are working. And errors should be predictable. If these errors are coming, you should know why these errors can come, right? Otherwise, you will spend a lot of time in debugging. If your basic fundamental knowledge is correct, then you will get confidence when you will write the code, right? This is what I wanted to show you using this example, right? Let me just write this code, and I'm keeping this code as it is so that you can try it in your system, right? But this is what I wanted to show, error handling, in this episode. And I wanted to cover a lot of things, trust me, and I have covered everything. I am feeling super happy as a teacher. When I feel so happy, when I started making this video, I had these points in my mind that I will cover this, I will cover multiple route, this. So I have covered almost everything. I have given you enough homework. So the next homework is also error handling using app.use, something like this. See this. Let me just write it up so that you remember the syntax, right? Where is it? App.js. Right. Now, whenever you are writing this wildcard error handling, always keep it towards the end. Now you should know, right, why you should keep it towards the end. You know the reason. Right? Using app.use this, right? And you should always write it towards the end, right? Let me write this function. Cool. So error handling using this. Oh, let's go back. Okay. So please, this is the end of the episode. Let me just quickly commit this code, error handling, right? Error handling. And this is kind of like wildcard error handling. This is not the proper way of handling errors, right? But a proper way of handling errors is try and catch. Always write try and catch. Don't rely on this. But you can just keep these 3-4 lines towards the end of your application, right? Towards the last of your application, so that if anything breaks, it will be caught over here. Suppose because your application, when it grows, you don't know. Some developers might not be writing try catch, and some random errors can occur. So this will handle everything, right? This will handle all of it. Cool. So I am happy to teach now wildcard error handling, and cool. So I have just done this. Okay. I have pushed the code onto GitHub also. So you can just check the code if you want to, but I would suggest you, my dear friends, this was the episode about route handlers, middlewares, and error handling, right? I have explained you all of it, but what I am trying to tell you, if you will not code, my dear friends, nothing will happen. Just watching these videos will not do anything, right? I would request you to please write code, and that is when you will get confidence. Try to understand every small thing. Play with the code just like I do in these episodes. It takes a lot of time to make these episodes and try to play and try to show you that how you should be learning things. Whenever you are writing some code, whatever I have written so much code in this episode, right? Since beginning, and since now 1.5 or 2 hours, I think, right? Almost 2 hours, right? Since 2 hours I am recording, and in this 2 hours I am continuously writing code, right? But what I am trying to show you is, this is how I code. I am trying to tell you the meaning of every damn small thing. What is this express? What is this require? What is express? What is app? What is express function? What is app? Why you are using use? Why you are writing like this? What is this? Why, when you will write 2 parameter, it should be what? What is the meaning of next? What is the meaning of error? How do you handle this? How do you create middlewares? How do you, each and every word that you wrote, anything you did not understand? No. My teaching style is to teach you not very fast, but to go deep and teach you the meaning of every damn small word. When you will go in the interview after this knowledge, you will write with confidence. You can even challenge the interviewer, right? And I want my students to be really very good. When they have this knowledge, they should be really very good at their skills, right? Understanding the in-depth concepts. This is what I want from my students, right? I don't want you to become an average developer. I want you to be a very good developer, and great developers are very good with fundamentals, right? Once you will start building the app, Dev Tinder and all of it, when we will write big code, when we will grow our application, right? When our application will have a lot of concepts, lot of routes, then you will realize the importance of these small things. When you will face errors, you would know exactly why that error is coming. It's not like you get randomly an error and now you're figuring out, oh my God, why this error is coming, how to handle these, that. You should know exactly why this error is coming, right? So you should be able to debug it very fast if you have the fundamental knowledge. That's all in this video, my dear friends. If you would have liked it, if you have liked this video, please share about Namaste Note to your friends, family, and all the people on social media, your social media network. That will mean a lot to me. It would help us reach to a lot more students. And as a teacher, I just want to reach all the students, a lot of students, and spread this knowledge out in the world. Please help me with my mission to reach as many people as possible. Every post matters. Please write a post about us on LinkedIn. If you are enjoying this series, write an honest review. I'm not even saying that, okay, go give us 5 star. If you want to criticize anything, criticize, but please share. If you are learning, if you are loving these videos, please share it. Tag me up. I want to read your feedback. And you can, if you don't want to write feedback, you can, if you have already written some posts, you can still share the knowledge from this episode on LinkedIn, on your social media, on Twitter threads, on Instagram. You can make your notes and you can share your notes with other friends on social media and tell people you are learning. Learn in public, build in public, push your code to GitHub, code along with me. What else would I need, right? This is my request. I'm folding my hands. Please post about us on LinkedIn and also keep coding along with us, because that's very important. Make a GitHub repository, code every day, push it on GitHub. Push, do your homework, whatever I'm giving you homework. All these things should be done. If there is some theoretical concepts, write those theory answers, right? If I'm saying how Express works, write that answer, modify it. How middleware works, what is a middleware, write all of these theory answers, right? When you will write these answers, write in your notes. This will make your understanding even more clearer, and share it on social media. It will help you reach more people. It will help you connect with more Node.js developers and help each other on the Discord server of Namaste Node.js. If you haven't joined already the Discord server, please join the Discord server, right? And that's all I want to say in this video. And thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you would have enjoyed it, loved it. And now we are going to explore a lot more inside DevTinder. We will be starting to explore database in the next episode. We will be learning more about MongoDB. We will be creating user schema. We will be creating models. We will be pushing data into the database, and it will be very much fun. Now we have come to a point where we can start actually writing code for DevTinder and start making the APIs for DevTinder. Hope you are excited. The ground level knowledge of Express.js is already there with you. Routing, middleware, so many things we have studied in these episodes. Hope you are enjoying it. And thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.